The U.S. Navy fends off the largest attack against American forces in recent history. The IDF takes out another Hezbollah high-value target, and Israel prepares to defend itself against charges of genocide this week at The Hague. What's going on, everyone? Let's take a look at some updates as it relates to the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. I'm recording this at 11 a.m. Central on Wednesday, January 10th, 2024. Overnight, the Yemen-based Houthis launched the largest attack against American forces anywhere in quite a while. According to U.S. Central Command, they say Iranian-backed Houthis launched a complex attack of Iranian-designed one-way attack drones, anti-ship cruise missiles, and an anti-ship ballistic missile from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen into the southern Red Sea, toward international shipping lanes where dozens of merchant vessels were transiting. 18 one-way attack drones, 2 anti-ship cruise missiles, and 1 anti-ship ballistic missile were shot down by a combined effort of FA-18s from the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, the USS Gravely, USS Laboon, USS Mason, and the United Kingdom's HMS David. They say this is the 26th Houthi attack on commercial shipping lanes in the Red Sea since November 19th, adding that there were no injuries or damage reported. And in case there was any question at all as to what the Houthis were up to, they released a statement saying, with the help of God Almighty, the naval forces, the missile force, and the unmanned air force of the Yemeni armed forces carried out a joint military operation with a large number of ballistic and naval missiles and drones targeting an American ship that was providing support to the Zionist entity. Now, in past attacks, it hasn't been entirely clear if the Houthi launches were targeting U.S. naval vessels, commercial ships, or even portions of southern Israel. But here, they're just outright saying it. Those missiles, those drones, those were trying to hit U.S. Navy assets in the region. So the strongly worded letter, the last warning that the U.S. put together about a week ago, telling the Houthis stop, or else you could face military action, they didn't take that very seriously at all. They stepped up attacks against American forces since that letter came out. Now, I feel like this is going to kind of slide under the radar, and it shouldn't. Not at all. This is a significant event, a complex attack, 21 separate munitions fired at U.S. forces in the region designed to kill American sailors. Just happened to shoot down all 21 of them, which is great. But if one of those gets through, you're talking about a potentially sunk U.S. naval vessel in the Red Sea. Hundreds of casualties, potentially. Right? Now, you can argue that we should or we shouldn't be in the region. That's fine, but we are. And American forces are coming under significant attack on a near daily basis. So I don't know what the best answer is here. If you ask the Houthis, they'll say that if Israel withdraws from Gaza and they start allowing humanitarian aid into the Palestinian people, that they're going to stop firing at U.S. and commercial ships right now. That's it. Problem solved. That's probably not going to happen. Doesn't seem like we're really trending in that direction. So I don't know if the U.S. is going to try to implement some sort of economic or diplomatic pressure on the Houthis or their backers in Iran, or maybe some sort of military action against Houthi targets in the region. What I do know is this current status quo is not sustainable. Having U.S. military assets in the region just kind of soaking up enemy drone and missile strikes on a near daily basis is a recipe for disaster. Then shifting back to Israel, where the IDF is kind of ramping up their operations, eliminating Hezbollah's commanders in southern Lebanon. They said, quote, today in the north, we eliminated the Hezbollah's commander of southern Lebanon aerial unit Abu Mahdi. He led dozens of attacks using UAVs against Israel. They said yesterday he carried out an additional attack, was spotted by Israeli aircraft, and the subsequent strike eliminated Mahdi and 3 other operatives who were with him. When this news came out from Israel, Hezbollah initially denied that he was targeted, saying, quote, the commander was never subjected to any assassination attempt, as the enemy claimed, but eventually his death was announced across Hezbollah Telegram channels. Now we're starting to see an increase in the pace and the severity of attacks going back and forth, really in both directions, up north between Israel and Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, really in the last 4 or 5 days or so. Now, whether this front escalates or not is yet to be seen, but this type of event where we're seeing one Hezbollah commander or leader to some degree killed after another is the kind of thing we would look back on and say, of course, that was kind of setting the stage for a larger scale military operation. Then in terms of operations on the ground, most of Israel's focus right now is in the southern portion of the Gaza Strip, where they say they struck 150 targets in Khan Yunis over the past 24 hours. Additionally, Israel said they completed operations in Khan Yunis, where they demolished hundreds of Hamas sites in the area, including rocket launchers, observation posts, caches of weapons, around 40 tunnel shafts, and major underground networks. They also say that much of the Hamas infrastructure that they've uncovered in the past 24 hours in Khan Yunis was hidden inside of schools and other public buildings. Then shifting over to Hamas, they said over the course of the past week, their elements were able to completely or partially destroy 42 Israeli vehicles, killing 22 Israeli soldiers and wounding dozens more in 52 separate military operations across the Gaza Strip. They said their forces used missiles, anti-fortification devices, machine guns, sniper rifles. They say that a house was blown up, house-borne IED. We've seen some videos of that in the past. They said they detonated at least 4 tunnel entrances as Israeli forces moved in to clear them, and then a minefield was blown up as well. Additionally, they say that a surface-to-air missile was fired at a helicopter. Haven't seen anything from that on the Israeli side, and it doesn't sound like, even from the Hamas statement, that they hit the helicopter, just that they fired that missile. And then they said that they did shoot down a couple of different reconnaissance drones that Israel was using over the Gaza Strip. So hearings begin tomorrow at the International Court of Justice, where South Africa has accused Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. And this is going to be a very significant case for a lot of reasons. There's going to be a lot of news that comes out in the next couple of days around this, so I thought it might be worthwhile to provide a little background as to what to expect or what to keep an eye out for as that news comes out. So the application to the ICJ against Israel by South Africa alleges that Israel has violated the Genocide Convention. They cite the large number of Palestinian civilians killed during the war and the severely reduced access to food, water, and medical care of the Gazan population, which South Africa alleges are the result of a planned Israeli effort to commit genocide against the Palestinians in Gaza. And a big thing that they're kind of placing this charge on are the numerous inflammatory statements made by Israeli government ministers about Palestinians in Gaza. It's kind of given South Africa a platform to allege that the state of Israel has the intent to commit genocide, which is usually kind of the core aspect of any of these genocide charges. Not just proving that the thing is happening, but proving that that is the intent of these operations or of these policies. So what the ICJ is doing right now is not necessarily confirming the charges, but simply saying there is or is not enough evidence to push forward into a full investigation. So the threshold here is actually pretty low, all things considered. It's just the plausibility that genocide could be occurring is supposed to be enough to push this thing forward into an investigation that then is expected to take years. Now, it's believed that Israel is going to argue that the civilian casualties here are an unintentional result of their war aim of destroying Hamas, and the fact that Hamas has so deeply entrenched its military facilities and their fighters, really, amongst the civilian population in Gaza is kind of the reason that the civilian casualties are so high. So Israel's push, one of them, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different angles here, is that they're not targeting the civilians, but the people that they're targeting are hiding amongst the civilians, hence the higher number of civilian casualties here than we might see in other conflicts. Now, the court is made up of 15 permanent judges that are all appointed by the United Nations General Assembly. The president of the court is from the United States. Other judges come from a handful of different countries, France, Germany, Australia, China, Russia, and then a handful of others. The court has no enforcement mechanisms, right? So no matter what they find out, it's not like the court can say, this is now what you will do, but whatever the findings are could be used to implement trade sanctions, an arms embargo, or other punitive measures against Israel if they're found guilty of committing genocide. Now, again, these next couple days are just the initial hearing to see if they're going to move into a full investigation. So I have a feeling here, maybe this is just me being pessimistic, but no matter what the results are here in the next couple days, we're likely to hear from one side or the other that the international institutions are corrupt and worthless, and what are we even doing being involved with those, whereas the other will point to the finding as evidence that they're on the right side of things. And I feel like it could go both ways, depending on how this thing shakes out. But that's all I got for now. Of course, if interested in national security subjects, be sure to check out the sit reps I put out on Substack. Link is in the description below. Substack now also has ad-free, sponsor-free videos that go live about 1 hour before they're up on YouTube. But thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.